Well, hello everyone. It's New Year's Day, and exactly a year ago, I started a podcast only show called Vermont and Beyond. And it was a call in show where people called in and I talked to them, and they had strange tales. And it was a lot of fun, but I started that show last year and I stopped doing the podcast for some reason. It was a pretty successful podcast, but I just stopped doing it. And so that's what I did to start the year. Was I thought would be my big project and my big big thing I wanted to do all year. And then I just didn't want to do it anymore. But it was bringing back old memories as the new year rings in, and so I would at least offer, if you would like, a little year in review, as we all do, and kind of reflect on what I was trying to do with my mediums. And I was doing podcasts, got into YouTube about mid-year, and stopped doing Vermont and Beyond. And now it occurred to me that maybe it wouldn't be a bad YouTube show. And so Vermont and Beyond became what we did. And, it was like the old style where you've got the guy watching the clock, telling the traffic, and going all over the country. And so you were doing like 8:45 Vermont and Beyond. We go to the trucker and just stuff like that. It was just really, and then we get callers and we talk to them. And sometimes the caller would take the whole night. There were some good stories, but I didn't continue that, and so I went to more of a YouTube-oriented, spent more of my time on that because that's where I saw that my channel needed to go. I didn't see as much opportunity with just a podcast, and it just occurred to me that Vermont and Beyond could make a very good YouTube show, except I don't have the caller element, and so I'm not sure if it would work, but we're going to at least do one for New Year's for the toast to the show we did a year ago. We started this show called Vermont and Beyond, and the whole idea was to get callers to call. Sometimes you had some guests, very seldom. We did have them, and those were the fun shows. And so maybe we could do something like that and just get, instead of having random calls, just maybe go through the Rolodex of all those callers and talk about the call. That could be a lot of fun. So, but anyway, the show is, I'm going to work on that. So keep your eyes open if you're an endless adventure fanatic, which I know all of you are. Look for Vermont and Beyond, as we're taking a lot of the podcasts and turning them into viable YouTube shows if there's something that can be worked. If it doesn't work, we're not going to bring it up here. But I think Vermont and Beyond could be. I had totally wrote that off because it was as talk show as you can get. It was a talk show. So I don't know if you could do a talk show. Larry King did that, didn't he? Well, that's an idea. And, sometimes I have other people with me, but tonight it's just you and I. That was the slogan of Vermont and Beyond. It's just you and I thought that was a great idea for a show, and I was really fired up for it, but it just got to be the same people calling, and some of them they're a little tiresome. I'm just joking. They know they're not tiresome, but I'm sure the audience would like to have had maybe a few less of the crazies, but they're out there. We didn't make them up. They're real people. And so we can maybe figure out how to get a call show. Not really sure about that one. You got to appeal to all types in the YouTube business, But anyway, Vermont and Beyond was about the search for the best life possible. Everybody was trying to do their best, and we talked to real people who were just doing exactly that, trying to be the best they could be. And it's good to know that they're out there. You see, what the Vermont and Beyond show was an opportunity to actually talk to real people and have some conversation. And so, to a certain extent, Vermont and Beyond was almost like a stillborn child. It never quite became the show I wanted it to be. And now that I've opened up to YouTube opportunities, I'm going to see what happens here. But in the spirit of Vermont and Beyond in its inception, where we reached out to the entire country and the world, really, and although we didn't see each other face to face, we talked to each other on the phone and the radio. We shared our voices, we shared our opinions. It was a lot of fun. But 2022 is a new year. My channel has lots of different directions, but Vermont and Beyond was never one I thought seriously about making shows of for YouTube, but now I've changed my mind. I'm having at least a little fun on this Christmas party and New Year's party, end of the year, and Vermont and Beyond was what I was doing a year ago. And so just as I wound down New Year's celebration, I went, wow, a lot's happened in a year. Well, you have to excuse me, I get sentimental on holidays, and New Year's is one of my favorites, so let's have a cup of tea at least. Or something stronger if that's your taste. The New Year's party was what the Vermont and Beyond was kind of about a New Year's party that we just had every day. And so the spirit of it was about keeping up with the time, and these guys were on their tight schedules, and it really impressed me how hard people work. It was a great show, and maybe I can bring something like that to YouTube. Yeah, I guess the one thing I missed about the show Vermont and Beyond was the communities that you were a part of, and you really were. I mean, these were just real friendships on the air. Some of them I got to know otherwise. It's a great show. We found out that this country is full of great people, and this whole world is. And this thing was a broadcast all over the world because it was a 50-watt station. You never know where it's going to go. And that was a big part of the attraction. I really liked that. So Vermont and Beyond, somehow as a YouTube show, strikes me as something we'll really work on. As I start 2022 with Endless Adventures YouTube channel, trying to give what I perceive to be the audience something that I think we both want to talk about. It's kind of I just try to put the programs I feel like you might need to know, and I try to do my own creative thing. So it's a little complicated, and it's not for everybody. But we appreciate all the listeners, and we're trying to grow. So if you like anything, feel free to comment on any show you watch, because we really want feedback. And of course, subscribe if you want to be notified when a particular show comes on, which is really important with the big channel as far as a big selection. We've got almost 400 videos on this channel and almost 25 playlists. So there's a little bit of something for everyone, and that really is true. And so if anything resonates, then I'm offering the public something they can give them a choice. But I don't think there's enough choices, and I like choices. And I hope you like some of my choices in videos and program choices. But Vermont and Beyond, look for that. We'll also be doing more documentaries about things like the environment. We got some shows lined up for that. That's going to be a big. And we still got our entertainment things with Oliver and the Raven and the Watcher, those kind of shows, and some comedy stuff that we just do. We like to have fun.